Good morning and welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View. Excuse the throat this morning. I think we're all a little bit hoarse today, and if you're not, well, you didn't enjoy yourself and just enough yesterday. Anyway, good morning. Last little bit of coffee. And what a day yesterday. Was that the game that turns around Celtic's season? And you're going to say, but what do you mean turning around the season? We're playing absolutely fantastic, boys. We're top of the league. We're into a cup final. There's always a game during the season. And I've said this on many a time on the channel. There's always a game during the season where you can pinpoint the turning point to where Celtic just turn up and push on to winning things. And I think yesterday was that game. It's happened many times at Aberdeen, and it always seems to be Aberdeen. It always seems to be Aberdeen. It was Aberdeen under Ronnie Dyler, Aberdeen away under Ronnie Dyler, where he won a game, and it was I'm sure it was an evening game as well, or it was a late Sunday kick-off game. And then the same with Brendan Rodgers, his first time at Celtic. And then it was a little bit Aberdeen, but it was more Ross County away under Ange Postecoglou. Away game up in Ross County when Tony Ralston scores that screamer in the 97th minute, and Ross County gave us a good game that day. Yesterday we absolutely dominated. I've been in many semi-finals over from 2005 to 2020 when I moved here. I've been in many semi-finals at Hampden, and I've never seen such a one-sided affair at Hampden. I have to say, I've never seen such a one-sided affair where Celtic were just so dominant. I mean, I can remember the game where the Aussie Wizard scores the goal late on against Aberdeen. I mean, Aberdeen had given us a good go that day as well. I mean, it's generally a hard game at Hampden against Aberdeen. I'll be honest, I was expecting so much more from Aberdeen. My prediction for the game was only 2-0. I thought it was going to be a tight game, maybe even 2-1, because Aberdeen, they'd be confident after getting that draw with us at Celtic Park. Let's not, they were coming into that game full of confidence. They drew with us at Celtic Park. They beat the Zombies, the Huns, and hopefully today, if the results go the right way, and we'll be back on the channel later on this afternoon with a little bit of a meltdown video. So keep an eye out for that. And I'm sure that lots of people will be watching it with anticipation just to see who Celtic do get in the final. And do Celtic ultimately have one hand on the trophy? Yes, this one. This will hopefully change to 22. Hopefully this will change to 22, and we'll need to update the screen. And we will go on to be the most successful club officially in Scotland, and we are already, because that club died and it's only been around since 2012. Anyway, Brendan Rodgers, the manager who fell and got booked and slipped. We do not need that type of diving in the Scottish game, Brendan. What were you trying to achieve? What were you trying to achieve by that blatant dive when you went to kick the toe point? And you've got to say that Charlie Mulgrew said, and Michael Stewart were like, you might have side kicked it. You toe poked it. You toe poked the ball, and you fell on your jacksie, and you got booked for it. Just a blatant dive, gaffer. What was going on? Yes, we're all saying, Jesus, why was he getting booked for it? And you've got to see the funny side of it, and which Brendan Rodgers did. But more importantly, during the game, and when Brendan was interviewed, at that point of the game, he was unhappy. He was unhappy with the team. And at that point, we were 3-0 up. And you're thinking to yourself, wow, we're 3-0 up at Hampden, at a semi-final, and we've got one hand on getting through to the final. And Brendan Rodgers wasn't happy. And I've alluded to this before. I've said, look, at the beginning of the season, we loved the football that Brendan Rodgers had the team playing. One-touch pass, fast-paced football. But that kind of disappeared over the last couple of weeks. We have been taking more chances, taking more time on the ball. And Brendan Rodgers said that. He said people weren't passing the ball fast enough. They were taking 2 or 3 touches before passing the ball. I want them to take one touch pass. I said, that's the football I want this team to play, which is fantastic. And I'm thinking, yes, there go the doubters from the beginning of the season and last season, and when Brendan Rodgers came back saying his football's boring, he can't change his tactics. Well, he's tell you one thing, Brendan Rodgers has got us all bloody excited for the football that we're playing, and he's got us achieving things in the Champions League that we've never done before. We've got 4 points already in the Champions League. That has to be applauded by the fans. And you're going to say, but it's a different format. I don't care. Usually we go the whole tournament and we only get 4 points. We've still got a lot of football left in the Champions League. We've got a massive game this week. We've got an absolutely fantastic chance of winning the treble in Scotland this year. We've never had so much confidence of winning a treble since the last time that Brendan was here. Now, is that disrespectful to everyone else in the league? I'm sorry, but Celtic are miles apart from everyone else in the league. And if you don't like it, well, Aberdeen were the second best club in Scotland officially, and they still are. They still are. Aberdeen are still a fantastic team. And let's hope that the manager spoke to his players after. But you've seen the Aberdeen manager speaking to the players after the game, and Jimmy would have said to them, look, Celtic had one of those days that sometimes football teams have, that everything they do and every single touch they make is absolutely perfect. Every time they hit a shot on target, but more than 50% of the shots on target went in the back of the net. That's something that Celtic have not been doing over the last couple of weeks, and especially when you look back to the Aberdeen game at home at Celtic Park, Celtic had 32 opportunities on goal. The chances on target were woeful, absolutely woeful. Now, we didn't have anywhere near 32 opportunities at goal yesterday, but we had 8. And the fact is, 8 of those, more than 50% went in. Six of the goals went in, which was fantastic from a Celtic point of view. The goals, we could talk about them all day long. But we've all watched the videos last night, and we'll probably do a live later on today. So keep an eye on the channel, and I might do a live early afternoon just before the other game kicks off, just to whet your appetite a bit and build up the fever momentum, because let's face it, I mean, we need to talk up Scottish football sometimes, and I mean, we all love Scottish football, and I, for one, miss going to Scottish football. I think that everyone that I've seen on my Facebook from yesterday had a cracking little time and day out at Hampden, as they will do. Now, the boys, the Ultras group, the boys who sit over the opposite end of the stadium on the same side as the main stand, put up a little banner yesterday. Yes, they put up a little banner saying, oh well, at least you've still got the Northern Lights. Yep, at least you still have the Northern Lights. Yeah. But they would have been put out and they would have been dulled on that long long journey back up to Aberdeen. That would have been a heartbreak hill going all the way back up to Aberdeen yesterday. But who cares? It was lambs to the slaughter. It wasn't Little Bo Peep bringing in our sheep anyway and singing merry songs all the way back up to Aberdeen. But let's hope that it doesn't have an adverse effect on Aberdeen and it allows a team closer to them. I mean, we want Aberdeen to keep pushing us in the league. Ultimately, I think, I did say that when we win this game, I was confident that we will win the game yesterday. I think that when we go up to Aberdeen, they will kind of try and look for it and seek a little bit of revenge, which will play right into Celtic hands. And that'll be the point where Celtic will start to have a lead at the top of the table. I think when we beat them up in Aberdeen, we'll increase our lead to 3 points at the top of the table, make a gap between ourselves and them, and then it is always at that point in the season, from Christmas onwards, and especially when we hit to January, that we go on a little bit of a run. And I think that this game yesterday was the motivational game that will get the players knowing the standard they need to play at Celtic week in, week out. Brendan Rodgers will not be looking for standards to drop in the Champions League game this week. We won't talk about that today. We've got lots of time to talk about that and lots more videos to do in the up run to that video. But with the boys having a laugh at Celtic, the big question before the game, and I did call it right, I said that the manager would go with Austin Trusty over Liam Scales. And he provided the answer to that. He provided the answer to that by the big man himself who asked the question. Yes, Charlie Mulgrew, whose autograph sits on that scarf there. It sits on that scarf with Caesar. Charlie Mulgrew and Caesar both signed that scarf at a Celtic event at Celtic Park for the 20th anniversary of the Joseph Rafferty Celtic Supporters Club dance. It was the 20th anniversary of the club, and we had that at Celtic Park, and we had Caesar, and we had the big man himself, Charlie Mulgrew, and he signed that scarf. And I've got pictures with him actually standing with the Green Brigade scarf, believe it or not. And he asked the question to Brendan Rodgers. He said, "Gaffer, why did you drop Scales? I like Scales. I see a bit of myself in Scales. He's a fantastic player. Why did you drop him?" And Brendan said, for one thing and one thing only, pace. And then Michael Stewart said, when you look back to the Aberdeen game, and it was a one-on-one, and they got their first goal, and Scales was left for pace, was that the only reason? And then Charlie Mulgrew said, is that the only reason that you dropped Trusty? That you dropped Scales? Because I think he's a fantastic player. And was it pace? And he said, yep, when I looked at this game, I knew there would be times that we would be pushing up the park, and they've got really fast attackers. I like my defenders to be really fast. Trusty is faster than Scales, and it's as simple as that. It's a simple answer. He asked the question then, is pace the only thing that Austin Trusty has better than Liam Scales? And he went, basically, yeah. And he says, is there anything else? And he said, no. That's it. It was basically pace. And I called it right. I thought that Brendan Rodgers would go with Trusty. When you look at some of the things that Trusty's done over it, but who cares? You can't fault a single player in that team yesterday. Every single player stood up. Every single player that came on did their job. Now, it's interesting because there's a headline going around this morning that's saying that Celtic are looking to enter into the transfer market for a left-sided defender. And I think it's pure speculation. Well, we all know that we're going to, if we're going to sell Alexandro Bernabe, and we all know the current situation with Greg Taylor, and my thoughts are if Greg Taylor hasn't signed that contract by the end of December, he'll be sold also. So that'll free up the funds from two different players within the Celtic. I mean, they can't be paying the majority of Alexandro Bernabe's wages, but they will be trying to recoup some of the $4 million nearly that they spent on Bernabe, and they'll want to recoup some money from Greg Taylor. That will give Celtic the funds to go out and buy another left-sided defender, left back. So anyway, we can talk about that later on. Brendan Rodgers falling on his arse was absolutely comical, wasn't it? And the fact that he got back up and cheered to the crowds. Yep, cheered to the crowds. The boys putting up the little banner saying, at least you've still got the Northern Lights. Just at the end of the day, it was absolutely fantastic. There is a little story kicking around today also about the strip for next year, the Celtic strip. Yes, the Celtic strip from next year is going to have a tartan effect. A tartan effect on it. Let's hope it's not the home strip then. Could you imagine the home strip with just a tartan, a green? No. Keep the green and white strips as it is. Please don't make it tartan. Anyway, when we look at the media from around the world, we look at the Japanese Times. Dyson Mider's treble fires Celtic into the Scottish League Cup final. An absolutely cracking picture of Dyson Mider with that goal. I'm going to put that up in the community tab, that one. And they went on to say Dyson Mider blasted Celtic into the Scottish Cup League final as the Japan star hat-trick inspired a 6-0 rout of Aberdeen on Saturday. Fueled by Mider's treble, Brendan Rodgers ran riot in the semi-final at Hampden to book a date with either Rangers or Motherwell on the 15th of December. Aberdeen fans travelled to Glasgow filled with hope of seeing their team beat Celtic in the National Stadium for the first time since 1992. Yes, when Ian Jess scored a goal that put them through. Aberdeen had a not bad decent team then. They did have a not bad decent team. But they were dismantled. Jimmy's team was absolutely run ragged by Celtic. You've got to say that. And the Japan Times goes on to say Cameron Carter-Vickers headed the first opener for the Scottish champions, never to look back. Maida set up Kyogo Furuhashi to score the second, and Nicholas Kuhn was also on target. The Dons came close to having won 15 games in a draw under wee Jimmy. They were on a 21-match unbeaten run since losing to Celtic on penalties at the same venue, the Scottish Cup semis last season. The 2-2 draw at Celtic Park 2 weeks ago and the midweek win over the Rangers seem to have established Aberdeen's credentials as a threat to Rodgers' men. Kickoff was delayed by 13 minutes for the pre-match pyrotechnic display from those cheeky little fans, and but Cameron Carter-Vickers also sparked fireworks on the pitch heading home from Engels' corner on the 29th minute. Yep, Arnie Engels, who has become the corner specialist, having taken over from Matt O'Reilly. Nobody really talks about him anymore, do they? We don't think about Matt O'Reilly, even though we sold him for vast amounts of money. We're now thinking, who's the next player from Celtic to be sold for crazy amounts of money? The third goal game. And yeah, we all know. They basically just go on for it. Rubbing salt into Aberdeen's wounds, Maida tapped home an Alistair Johnston cross with 5 minutes left to go. And I've got to say, although Alistair Johnston put in that cross, the back heel from Paulo Bernardo into the path of Alistair Johnston was sublime. That's a player that's full of confidence. Somebody slated Paulo Bernardo yesterday, saying that he was absolutely woeful when he came on. But go and look back at the little sublime back heel that he does. The ball comes to Paulo and then he backs heeled it to Alistair Johnston. Absolutely fantastic play by Celtic. We're over the moon. All we need to do today, sit back, drink your coffee, have a big breakfast, have a nice lunch, whatever you do on a Sunday, if it's a Sunday lunch or whatever it is you do, and then sit back and watch the game. And hopefully the result goes the right way and we end up playing Motherwell in the final. Anyway, on that note, have a fantastic day. If you haven't subscribed to the channel and you're still watching to this end, thank you for watching right to the end of this video. And I mean that. You that's watching right now, thank you for watching right to the end. The best thing that you can do to help the channel is watch the next video that comes up. It'll be one of the videos from yesterday, and we are sitting on 19,525 subscribers. We are trying to get to the big 20,000 before the end of the year. And on that note, have an absolutely fantastic day. Remember, check out the channel for when we will be going live later on to talk about the game yesterday and ultimately who we won in the final. So have a fantastic day, Celtic fans all around the world.